Hello! In honor of International Heather's Day, September 1st, this won't be up on September 1st because I made a video recently, go watch it, and I need space in between my videos. But anyways, I watched Heather's with my friend who came over because I'm the OG Heather's fan and she wanted to watch it. And we didn't even realize it was International Heather's Day, so that just shows it was fate. It's fate. I watched it without even knowing. But anyways, today I wanted to propose the great question. Which is better, Heather's or Mean Girls? I know it's crazy to compare them because they're completely different movies, but many people do. I've seen many videos asking the question of which one is better and comparing the two side by side, and today I wanted to see if that's actually a fair comparison. So let's get started. To say that Heather's and Mean Girls have no comparisons is not technically true. I mean, they both are set in a high school, they're both set with a girl getting into the popular group with three mean girls. They both have a boy love interest. They both have iconic slang words that people use till this day. And I guess that's it. I feel like when people talk about these movies, they forget the fact that Veronica and JD both accidentally kill Veronica's best friend and then cover it up to make it look like a suicide. But I made a list of things I'm going to rate and see which different categories does which better. The categories are fits, queen bee, love interest, iconic catchphrases, and the tackles they go into with Mean Girls in general. Like how the philosophy behind girlhood, girl cliques, and Mean Girls. So let's get started. Okay, I'm gonna be straight up honest. I think this is gonna be the hardest thing to judge because the fits go hard in both movies, and they're completely different styles as well. That's gonna be hard. So let's start with Heather's. Heather's goes with this preppy, old money aesthetic. It's also set in the 80s, so shoulder pads. Okay, they were okay. Yeah, the shoulder pads were interesting, but I feel like the fashion for just really held up, especially with Heather Duke. Heather Duke served looks. She was so fashionable. I was obsessed with a lot of her looks she was pulling. But with every good, Veronica, she had some good looks too, but with every slay, there was questionable things like yellow tights, blue tights. JD's style was very well done as well because it was very recognizable. It was very it really showed his personality. And when you see a long trench coat, at least for me, you just think of JD. They did a pretty good job of styling him. The girls themselves, the colors symbolize so much things in the movie, and it's so well done how they use the use of color. Like with Heather Chandler, she's in the start, she has red to symbolize she's the powerful one, she's in control. She doesn't have the typical Mean Girl color of pink, which is a more girly, childish kind of approach, which we'll talk about later. But she has red, which symbolizes power, maybe anger. She's not really all there about looking cute. She's there for, I run the school, I know what I'm doing. They don't dress particularly like too feminine. I mean, they do because they wear skirts, but they also wear blazers and like bigger clothes, more bulkier clothes. They're not really into, they don't really dress in the way of like tight skirts, tight tank tops, which is interesting because you usually would think more for like popular girl fashion, that's what it would be, but nope, it's like serious clothing. Not that I know we've watched Legally Blonde. There's no such thing as telling if someone's serious based on their clothes, but I do like how even though they're the popular girls, they don't seem to dress that trendy. They dress more old-fashioned. Then the looks do hold up for the 80s as well. Not that the 80s wasn't particularly the most fashionable time. I mean, people still wear a lot of 80s inspired outfits nowadays. But you know what I mean. And I just think the clothes are really good for representing characters. Back to Heather McNamara, she wore yellow to symbolize fear and uncertainty and being timid. Then Heather Duke, whose color was green at the start to symbolize her jealousy and like more like the envy she had of Heather Chandler, and the, I guess, kind of like how she felt so inadequate next to her. And then when she's gone, she's all like, she starts adopting the color red. And the way they did it was very subtle, where she would wear more and more in red as more powerful and mean and Heather Chandler like she would get. And then eventually they had the shot of her basking in the red light on top of her. It was amazing. Veronica wears blue for a lot of the movie and her blues get progressively darker and she wears more grey as she's with JD. And then as she's coming back, by the end of the movie, she's covered in black smut and has basically symbolized JD all over her. But she goes to but she wears the red scrunchie at the end, symbolizing how she's taking the power. It's her school now, but she's using it for good, and goes to Martha. And just done with popularity. And then, also Heather Chandler, I want to get back to her. She wears blazers, bulkier clothes, more conservative, more old money and like preppy, old-fashioned in the start of the movie, and then she is seen at the party wearing a revealing, tighter, more fitted dress, and this is when she is looking for male attention, and you can see she's playing the part for the boy. She was trying to look like what the boy wants her to look like, not what she actually wants to look like. And when she if you watched the movie, she goes into the bathroom, spits at her reflection, showing that she's not doing what she wanted to do. She's not really being herself. She's doing what she thinks she needs to do to be popular. And yeah. So I thought that was interesting. There was so much different things I noticed about the costume design every time I look at this movie. And then the people that wear big fun are usually the side characters, the characters we don't really know. And by big fun, I mean the Big Fun t-shirt. We don't really know what they're supposed to be feeling. We don't really know where their place is with the colors, because they don't have the red color. They have Big Fun, which is just white and black, to show that they don't have power. If that makes sense. There's just lots of interesting things about the character design, the fashion design, that I thought was pretty interesting. Now let's talk about Mean Girls. The fits go hard for Mean Girls. I mean, people still copy these outfits. These outfits are absolutely so recognizable. That is where they get you with these outfits. Because you see that top a little bit dramatic, you see a pink cardigan, a black skirt, that combo, you just think of Regina George. It's a very very memorable fashion costume design, and they get you good with it. Then they kind of do a similar thing like with Heather's as well, but with the color pink, not red. Pink is that color in the story, where the more Katie gets in with the plastics, the more pink she is wearing, the more girly she is looking, the more like fitted her clothes are, and like at the start she's wearing like flannels, jeans, baggy clothes, and then she gets into wearing short skirts and tank tops by the end like Regina. And then showing up to prom in her jacket when she has a more human moment of, this is who I am. By jacket I mean, you know, that the mathlete jacket, which was her passion at the start. She wanted to be in the mathletes, but they kind of talked her out of it. But so her showing up to prom with the mathletes jacket is symbolizing how she's finally just going to be herself, which was cool. I mean, I just can't not, I don't know how I'm gonna pick one, because Heather's was such a good job at showing like symbolizing different things with their costume design, but Mean Girls it's iconic. The clothes are so referenced, so iconic, so you just know they invented Juicy Couture. They slayed every look. And even their clothes do show their characters as well. Like Gretchen dresses more preppy because she's a bit more like, she tries to impress Regina. She's not really as like the others, I guess. That's why her outfits are more preppy and more old money, because she is she is a rich girl, and that's probably why Regina is picked her to be in this clique. Karen, she effortlessly fits into this clique with her style. Her style is very girly, feminine, and tight and cute. Tank tops, short skirts, like Regina. Regina, she dresses how she thinks she's supposed to dress. Her outfits don't really reflect her personality, and as she goes on in the movie, she starts wearing sweatpants because they give her bars to make her put on weight, which is very problematic. But, you know, her costume designs change through the movie as well, but not by choice, because that's all that will fit her, despite the fact that she barely put on any weight and I'm definitely sure that more clothes would have fit her. But anyways, and like I said, Katie, her style changes to be more and more plastic as it goes on, to at a point where she's at her own party, she's basically crossed to the dark side and is wearing the most uncomfortable looking dress, but might I add, it's kind of cute. The guys' costume design, not too impressive to me. I mean, they're just wearing typical dude stuff. But Janice, her style is like edgy, anti-plastic. She wears frumpy, oversized clothes compared to the tight skirts and tops. And her hair is like all put up and messy compared to the sleek like blowout hairstyles the plastics have. And you also notice that Katie's hair gets more and more bigger and blowy out her as the movie goes on as well, from when it was just a ponytail. Then by the end, she kind of goes back to her ponytail. Wait, does she? I'm not actually sure. But I think in the end they're all really just being there. Oh yeah, I want to say Regina, she in the end is still wearing like sporty clothes, which means she's kind of back, which is what she probably always wanted to do. She probably always felt like she was more like tomboyish, and she's finally being herself, more comfortable wearing like sportier clothes, and more like not super hyper feminine clothes, which she used to make fun of girls a lot for being any bit like not super hyper feminine, which kind of goes into the theory of like, is Regina a lesbian, and that's why she's so hard on girls and puts on this facade of being hyper feminine and really girly. But anyways, it's nice that she gets her she doesn't just die like Heather Chandler. She gets that, she grows up and she starts being herself, and she makes up with the people she did wrong. She even joins the athletes that she bullied. So costume design, I don't know. I mean, I can't give it that's so hard. I think I'm gonna give this one a tie, and I know that's a cop-out, but they're both really good that I can't really compare them, and they're both good in different ways. They both hold up insanely well, and I just can't compare them. I'm sorry. So what are we judging this based off of? Is it who's a better character, or who's a meaner mean girl? I'm gonna go with who's a meaner mean girl because I like the drama. So Heather Chandler is definitely a lot meaner than Regina George. I mean, we don't see her that much. She dies pretty early on, but she does make an impact. I mean, she's pretty horrible to her friends. She's pretty horrible to everyone, looks down on everybody, and even like treats Veronica very badly at the party. So even though we don't see her as much, she does do a lot worse of things, like with the note to Martha and being very insensitive about her friends' bulimia. But Regina, on the other hand, is not much different. She does make a burn book and shame every girl more behind their backs than to their faces, but still. And she also is mean to her friends. And the thing with her though is that she grows up and changes in the end, whilst Heather Chandler gets murdered. But the whole point of Heather's was that people like to find meaning and deeper meanings in things that really just are black and white, and she was really shallow and mean. But people wanted to see her as this saint because of her suicide that never actually happened. Whilst in Mean Girls, the whole point is people change and people grow up and people just are going through stuff, and that's why they might seem meaner, be mean, and act out due to hormones and just like inner struggles. So I'm gonna give this one to Heather Chandler. In terms of who's the better looking love interest, it doesn't matter, because unfortunately Aaron Samuels is a victim of the early 2000s hair. It's really awful. But he is good looking though, and so is JD, despite the fact that he's awful. So this is going to be very easy to pick. Aaron wins. The reason he's sweet, nice, likes Katie for who she is through the whole movie, and I also feel like he wasn't too he was just a good guy. He wasn't like too special or anything, but he was a good guy. JD, on the other hand, is a total horrible nightmare, mess, terrible person. But however, in the musical, he is more redeemable. Do you want me to do a video on the musical versus the movie? I will. Both of these movies have really iconic phrases. Mean Girls has fetch, Wednesdays we wear pink, Glen Coco, I'm a mouse, duh, the Bird Book, fugly slut, do you need a condom? I'm a cool mom. Oh my god, where did you get your bracelet? I love it. Tell him his hair looks sexy pushed back. I want my pink shirt back. So if you're from Africa, then why are you white? Every moment I wasn't talking about Regina, I was praying for someone else to bring her up. I heard she does car commercials in Japan. I heard her hair is insured for $10,000. Those are the plastics. They're teen royalty. Endless phrases from Mean Girls. There's probably more. Heathers has big fun. So very beautiful. The red scrunchie in itself. Grow up Heather, bulimia is so 87. FB gently with a chainsaw. Why not? Oh my god, I just killed my best friend and my worst enemy. Lick it up, baby, lick it up. Just so many phrases on both ends. However, I think the ones that get more worked into regular day speech is Mean Girls. So I think I'm gonna have to give it to Mean Girls. Sorry. But I feel like Heather still has some good ones. And not far off from Mean Girls. Addressing teen issues. So the issues that these movies focus on are completely different. So this is going to get into why I think these movies are different from each other and why comparing them is a bit like, yes, they have iconic fashion characters, but they're, at the end of the day, the purpose of both movies is important but different. Heather's was to highlight how people make deeper meanings out of things that aren't there, and like commentary on teen suicide and how like the teenager education and like mental health system really is screwed up for teenagers, and they can feel like they don't really have any other option but to like all go against each other. Whilst Mean Girls is about a mean clique and how popularity is stupid and how ganging up on other girls is stupid. Girl world is a very complex and toxic thing, and bullying can come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes, and that people will go at drastic measures to fit in, and the psychology of teenage girls. Both different things, but they still make amazing movies out of each topic, and they both addressed each of the topics very well. So at the end of the day, I feel Mean Girls won, but Mean Girls did take a lot of inspiration from Heather's, and we need to give Heather some appreciation for setting the mark for topics like teenage girls and mental health in teenagers and bullying in teenagers and cliques, because Mean Girls kind of took what Heather's did and made it more relatable and took out all the murder. To give some appreciation to Heather's for International Heather's Day on how important this movie really is. So yeah, that's where I'm gonna end off. Also, I recolored the Monster High characters to be the Heather's colors just to see what that would look like. I think it looks pretty cool. So take that as you will, and goodbye.